Welcome back to another episode of Scryer's Room. I am your host, Famfare.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Mario.
And today we're going to go back into Dark Elves for part 3 of our series. So the first part we talked about the Age of Endless Glory and an area in the Defender and the fall of the Old One's gates to Chaos. And in our second part we went over Malekith's adventures in the colonies and his sort of like swelling animosity towards Belshazzar and his stolen valor.
Right. Culminating eventually in the tragic suicide of the once Phoenix King Belshazzar.
Malekith couldn't stop him. He couldn't stop him. He clearly tried his best.
There
were signs of struggle, but he couldn't stop him. Malekith killed Belshazzar. Basically said that he killed himself, but basically orchestrated the whole thing. Most of the princes didn't buy it at the council.
Right.
And so he fucking had them killed. And was basically like, yeah, it was for the greater good. It was for unity. Don't worry about it, man. And a lot of the princes there bought it. They're like, yeah, okay, fuck it, man. Gotta do some tough things sometimes.
Yeah.
And so...
That's sad. He was a cultist? That's crazy. And then all of them also killed themselves after? That's crazy, Malekith.
It's crazy.
That's so sad.
So yeah, he steps to the flame, found unworthy, desiccated a carcass, or not carcass. He's not dead. He's just not having a good time.
Yeah,
fucking.
He's just a little well done.
Yeah, he's a burnt boy. They drag him back to Analik. He gets encased in a suit of encircled armor.
Yeah.
Thus becoming Malekith the Witch King. And from that point onward, he would begin his conquest of Ulthan. The schism of the Sundering has officially started. There are those who are loyal to the Phoenix throne that hasn't rejected a motherfucker.
Right.
And there are those who are loyal to Malekith and Nagarythe.
Right. And now officially these are Dark Elves.
Yeah.
Not simply...
That would be a at this point, yes, but they wouldn't be calling them that for a few more years.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, at a certain point, yeah, they start calling Malekith's followers the Druki, which just means Dark Elves.
Yeah.
And then the regular the high elves are called the Aesir for Assyrian.
Right.
So yeah, it's the Aesir, the Druki, and hopefully we have enough time for me to get into the Azrae. The Azrae are actually secretly one of my favorites. The third ethnicity of elves in Warhammer.
Wood elves?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Wood elves, the Azrae. Yeah. So
they're like, these. It seems that Malekith and his followers are forming their own faction. Truly, all is lost when high elves have broken into 2 factions. And then there's like a wood elf representative at the table like, we've already been 2 factions. And they're like, look at him like, no. Go back outside. No change.
The adults are speaking.
Yeah.
Go stew on your own juices, you hippie. Like,
go camping.
Which, has there been another Phoenix King who didn't need, wards or anything? Who actually did the thing?
To my understanding, every Phoenix King has done the words since Anarian. So the thing Arathi said is technically accurate. Like, this is a fucking sham.
I mean...
Anarian needed no wards to be gifted with Assyrian's blessing. Every Phoenix King here is a sham.
I mean, it feels very self-defeating because, importantly, he didn't walk into the Phoenix Flame and, walk out with armor on, I have been chosen. He burned to death first.
Yeah, and then...
By preventing being burned to death...
Yeah, but he kept walking, though. Malekith collapsed. That's the thing. I guess maybe he cast himself out. I need to actually read the passage again. Because, like we said, in the end times, it announces that if he'd stayed for a little bit longer, he would have been found worthy or whatever.
Right.
So...
I feel like you probably need to die so that your soul gets to go to Elfgod, and Elfgod gets to be like, now you will be Phoenix King, and then sends you back. And then you would walk out, then you would have your new sick-ass armor or whatever.
Yeah, I could see it. I could buy it, yeah.
It's a Jesus metaphor.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of good Christian morals, a lot of times in Warhammer.
Even not Jesus metaphor. That's a thing that we hear all the time.
Yeah.
That's how Odin fucking happened. He, had to, go to near death, bleeding himself out to, gain, eternal knowledge from the tree or some shit.
Yeah.
bound himself to the world tree for 9 days.
I have a very vague knowledge, and Mario, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for being an
for
actual
actually
scholar.
knowing things.
Making a sacrifice of himself to himself, which I always thought was hilarious.
That's so good.
Yeah, like
like what?
peak narcissism.
That sounds like
dude,
that sounds like something that somebody who's lying about what they're doing would say. Like he is like
funny.
tied to the world tree. He's missing a damn eyeball. He's got like a hook in his liver or some shit. Whatever thing he did to actually like give of himself to the tree. And someone's like, "Hey Odin, what are you doing?" I'm gaining powers. How's that, buddy? I am sacrificing of myself. Oh. Who are you sacrificing to? Like, that's something humans do. They sacrifice goats and we give them better boats and shit. And who are you doing it to? Is there like a double god we don't know about? No, it's to me. I'm sacrificing myself to me for all the knowledge in the world. Did you get mugged, buddy? Like, what happened? You're just tied to a tree.
Which I said 9 pretty confidently. I might be off on the number, but
long enough to start dying.
Odin's just trying to save face.
Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't mugged. No, I'm up here on my own willing.
But unrelated to that, we are gonna now target this one specific guy and beat his ass. We're gonna go jump him. Oh, what did he do to your Lord Odin? It's just some other thing. Don't ask him. Also, don't ask him what happened. Just get his ass.
Yeah. So God, where was I?
They're becoming the Druki in the coming years.
Yeah, so Malekith, really pissed off. So his soul was also blackened by the flames. He's just bitter, angry man.
Right.
And he's like, alright, I'm taking Ulthuan by force. His agents, or like, because Nagarythe had been the one doing all the cults and stuff, and now there's just a bunch of people just straight up loyal to Malekith.
Yeah.
About half the population. And so the provinces of Tiranoc and Illyrian were occupied by Malekith's forces almost instantly.
Right.
Like at the drop of a
They already lived there.
They were already chilling. And the other, at that point, the other provinces that are still like against Malekith, the loyalists, elect Imric of Calador, the guy that was the Stolen Glory guy. They elect him.
Same some guy who keeps showing up like, maybe I should be king.
Yeah, Calador's grandson.
Get out of here, Hillary Clinton.
I'm sure he was doing something important while Malekith was being a badass in the books.
She did a lot of important things, I'm sure. I don't care to know.
And in
it's
the Sundering
just not going to happen.
I will admit, in the Sundering series, I'm coming from a place of ignorance because I've only read the Malekith book of the Sundering novels, and I'm pretty sure the second book is Calador, which is about Imric. So maybe he is Giga Chad. This is a video about Dark Elves. We have a biased Dark Elf opinion. Fuck this no face nobody. Anyway, so
I want to amend my joke.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I want to add. I want to change it to Jeb Bush.
Please clap.
Fuck. Because I'm much more certain that he's done something I've definitely never heard of, and it may be good or bad, but also get out of here, man. Yeah. Stop throwing your hat into the ring. But also, perhaps he should be Phoenix King.
Maybe, perhaps.
He certainly seems to keep thinking so.
God bless. No, but so Imric rather, was out hunting in Trace, which is one of the northeastern province of Ulthuan on the outside of the Anui Mountains, so like facing like the Chaos Gates. So there's just like mutated monsters and shit chilling here in the wildlife. Namely, one of their famous creatures is the white lion. They just have these giant fucking white lions that are just a native beast that you just have to deal with in Trace. And Imric was out hunting and stuff in that province. He was out with some Trace and woodsmen when he was getting word that like, oh, you're the next Phoenix King. And he was like, oh, wow, I guess I better go take the crown. Bam! Dark Elf assassins instantly. Like, they fucking knew. And they go to kill this guy, and all the woodsmen take their, like, logging axes and just do axe foo and slaughter the assassins to a fucking man. And Imric is like, wow, that was the coolest thing I ever saw in my life. You guys are now my bodyguards. And now one of the units in High Elves are the White Lions of Trace, and they have their axemen with great axes, and they have these white lion cloaks, because they have to slay one of those white lions to become a white lion. And then those are extremely durable against arrows and stuff. They're like really resistant to arrows and pelts. So they have a resistance to shooting attacks. Very cool unit. Austin.
Yeah, exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, Austin, love you, boo boo. Fielding 80 white lions blew my fucking mind. Anyways, so.
Absolute barbarian horde.
So, quick aside, in the old world, they have these like armies of renown for each of the factions, and it's like an ultra specific version of the army. And one of them is the Shrayson War Host. And you get a different version of the White Lion that can have like a bow, and that can be your core. That can just be your main dude. So I'm playing dwarves. My whole thing is that we're slow, but we're durable. Motherfucker with a great axe don't care about my full plate. Tell you fucking what, dude. It was a bloodbath. I thought I was hot shit with my shield wall. Anyway, so these dudes go with him back, come as bodyguards, sick nasty. Imric becomes the new Phoenix King, names himself Caldor the First after his grandsire, establishing the line of Phoenix Kings of Caldor. Malekith's furious. He is so goddamn angry about this. So, he begins the war begins in earnest. And they start battling for Ulthan, and it ends in a stalemate that lasts a quarter of a century. And then, at the Battle of Maldor, Caldor would wound Malekith and force him to retreat back to Nagarythe.
That was a lot of very elfy words right in a row.
Oh yeah, true.
The Battle of Maldor. There's Caldor and Malekith.
Yeah. Very elf sentence.
It's extremely elfy.
I'm a big fat dork. I make no.
We're power dorks around here.
This podcast is getting dorkier and dorkier by the minute.
Yes.
But Caldor would wound Malekith there. And then in a big baby emo move, he would do, you know what? If I can't have Ulthan, no one can. Sorcerers, unbind the vortex. Let the demons take everything. And so they just start doing that. And Imric,
what a dick!
What a dick! And Imric's like, you fucking dick, you can't do that. So he gets the Wizards of Safri to basically counterspell him. And this like huge tide of magic that are pushing towards the vortex, like over the northern Anui Mountains into the center of Ulthan to the vortex. They just push it back, and it just plunges into Nagarythe and sinks the whole fucking thing. So a giant tidal wave comes. It ruins 2 provinces. Let's see here. Part of the decision, though, the Circlet of Iron had Malekith convinced he could control it.
Right.
He thought he could control the vortex. He thought he could control demons. He was like,
right.
I am going to control chaos. That was part of the delusion that...
Right. Yeah. The obviously cursed crown, clearly, it doesn't have his best interest at heart. Color me surprised.
Yeah. Tiranoc was the other province. They were basically entirely submerged. Like, everyone basically died. None of the buildings really survived.
They just got a quick Atlantis.
And several capital cities of the Elves fell that day. Just wiped out.
Right.
And they had to either rebuild somewhere else or have to rebuild it on site. The only thing remaining of Malekith's once mighty realm were their encircled fortresses. Like their big old black citadel keeps looking things were still standing because they were just so magically pumped up with words.
Right.
So the only remainder left of their land was the land on those things. And so they made them giant ships called Black Arcs, and they sailed them north.
Sure.
Yup.
So like a boat with a castle on it?
It's just a floating castle. It's a floating fortress.
Floating as in over the ground or over
No, on the water.
Okay, yeah.
In the water, yeah. They literally, so all the land collapsed into the water.
Yeah.
And so it's just these floating fortresses in the water. And so they were just like, okay, put up some sails.
Yeah.
We know how to be corsairs. We've been doing that for a while, so fuck it, go north.
Somebody start doing the math on how to make oars that long so that you can steer us from the battlements.
And so literally the Black Arcs are on the remains of Nagarythe. There are still some parts of Nagarythe that they now call it the Shadowlands.
Right.
It's just like an uninhabitable wasteland.
Yeah.
And the Blighted Isle is still up there where the Sword of Cain is. So that because this is going to become like a hotbed for conflict over the next millennia.
This absolutely cursed piece of land.
Yeah, just absolutely cursed. But most of Nagarythe at this point is gone or uninhabitable, and then the Black Arcs sail away on some of the remnants. Very, very, very cinematic, very picturesque. And so he sails deep into the north, into the frozen north, into the Sea of Malice.
Right.
And basically they go into this strait, and they go deep, 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 very far west, until he's in the northeastern corner of this strait, and he just kind of like slams his black arc into the fucking corner of this strait, and then is like, okay, you fucking sorcerers, teleport my black arc inland, and I'm gonna build a fucking city around it. And then they did, and these were sorcerers of the black arc Nagar, I believe. I'm trying to make sure I get this right, but yeah, I believe they were the black arc Nagar, and he was like, that was very fucking impressive. And then they did their own, and they did it farther northward, and Malekith was jealous, so he basically sent a punitive force to basically seize it, and they turned it back into a black arc, or it was still on water or something, but it would end up becoming a vassal black arc to another one of the states. And this would later bite them in the ass. We'll go into that when I go into the details of each of the 6 cities that are about to be founded. But they would become a vassal of Hag Graef. So yeah, Malekith had these sorcerers basically like yeet his black arc over to the strait to build a city around it. Yeah, that was the founding of Naggarond, the city of cold. And from that point on, where we'll now enter the Age of Relentless Spite.
It's really funny that everybody who lived in like these fortresses and stuff, they went from living in what I imagine to be like a pretty temperate, regular climate, and then essentially to them, the country was washed away.
Yeah.
And then the next place that they get to land and be like, we will call this home, he's like, the North Pole. Sir, it's going to be very cold and dry and unpleasant. And he's like, shut the fuck up, I didn't ask you.
So, one of my favorite little tidbits in Total War Warhammer is if you're playing Malekith and you like cursor over his little unit, he'll sometimes mutter, I hate snow.
Why do you live here then?
It's just where he had to go, man. He has to go to the Chaos Waste, you know? You guys got to keep an eye on Chaos.
My Darth Vader helmet tells me.
Yeah, exactly. Literally, dude. Literally, everything changed.
And so far, it has steered me wrong, but I still trust it deeply.
Every fucking time.
Well, he's also made of metal. It's probably real cold.
Oh, man. Biting.
Oh, man.
Well, I mean, presumably there's magic against that, but, you know, did they take that into account?
I mean, I imagine that the black crown is like almost welded onto his head.
Because
it bites in,
welded onto his skin. Yeah. So yeah, the circlet of iron is like wrapped around his That
would be so cold.
Yeah,
that sucks so bad
on his charred fucking skin. So I don't know how that would feel crazy for sure. He probably can't feel anything. I'm not sure how that works.
Lucky then, because that would be sensory hell.
But, having established his capital, he turned his attention back to Ulthan, and he wanted to be sure Kaldor didn't claim the Sword of Cain. He was like, bro.
Everyone knows that the one thing that, like, our leadership knows to do is, when the powers of being the Phoenix King don't work, immediately forsake them and get the Sword of Cain.
Yeah, it's just that it worked for the other guy, and it worked for me, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to mention important detail. When Malekith was going with Nagarythe back to go on his expedition. He dropped her back in Nagarythe. He went to the Blighted Isle and was like, I'm going to find my father's remains and the remains of Andragnir, and we're going to send them back with you, Mom, and that's going to be my gift to my people. Because I refuse to step back on fucking Nagarythe with that stupid Belshazzar in charge. I'm not going back to Nagarythe till I become Phoenix King. He was like adamant about this. It didn't fall through, obviously. Yeah. But, he was like, I'm going to send my father's body back into the dragon back, and it's going to be cool. And then he gets off, he doesn't find them, but he ends up finding the Shrine of Cain. He ends up seeing the Sword of Cain. And the Sword of Cain shifts into many forms before him.
Right.
It becomes an axe, it becomes a spear, it becomes a sword, and then eventually settles on a gem-encrusted scepter. And he's like, a scepter? It's supposed to be a sword. Why would it be? Oh, because it's just for me. Because I'm not just a warrior. I'm a ruler. I'm the ruler of the elves. That scepter is the proof of my dominion. That scepter is proof that I will conquer this world.
The Sword of Cain's never lied to anyone before.
Yeah, he's like, I'll use the elves as my sword.
It's just like, that looks pretty cool.
Oh, yeah?
Must be really cool.
Dude, literally.
This is a guy who gets hyped up He's genuinely the kind of guy who would like buy a Lamborghini and think that he's rich now, even though he's like he has so much debt that it's unbelievable. But he's like, no, a lion doesn't concern himself with the bank.
God bless. But yeah, he's having these delusions of grandeur.
Yeah.
As he's slowly walking towards the fucking Sword of Cain, about to pick it up, and he snaps out of it and like walks away and he's like, get out of here.
I imagine he like sees written onto his metal hand is, whatever you do, don't take the Sword of Cain. He's like, oh yeah. You almost got me.
Does the crown let him like resist that or something? Or?
Unknown. I don't know. I like to believe it was his own willpower. It's gonna come up a lot throughout the lore of like an elf going to the fucking Blighted Isle and looking at the Sword of Cain and becoming just for them. Like the fucking Uzumaki, this hole is just for me!
Yeah.
Like, it keeps happening. Apparently the Sword of Cain whispers to every elf.
Right.
Just faintly in your dreams.
Right.
So most people, they don't pay any mind. They just think they had a bad dream.
Right.
But some people, it calls you like a siren song, and like, you just fucking, you thirst for the murder.
Everyone thinks about killing someone sometimes. But if you think about killing elves all the time, you might need to talk to your doctor about the Sword of Cain.
It's like a little ad campaign going on, a little like fucking TV
The Sword
ad.
of Cain may be calling to you, but with Cain and all, you can put that to rest. You can be free of the urges of the Sword of Cain.
They definitely need Canaan and Harganeth. We're gonna get to Harganeth. Harganeth is the city of the Dark Elves where I start thinking there's no way that anyone's alive. The society does not make any sense, cannot function.
Right.
There would be no people left.
I'm sure there's a Kugel-style man who's selling people charms against it.
Absolutely.
And they don't work. Of course. But he'll swear up and down that they do.
Yeah.
On my mother's recipe, I'll have you know.
He figured out how to make like ramune with like the marble bottle, and everyone's so hyped up on the novelty that they just buy that like, oh, he's an alchemist. That's clearly a magical lid thing happening.
That's so good. That's such a good gimmick thing. Like, it makes a fizz and a pop when you open it. You have to push the thing down. It's sealed.
If somebody handed that to me and was like, this is like necessary for potion, it would establish what I would consider like authority on it. Like, you're right, that was pretty. Look at how magic that is.
Yeah, I know for sure. But yeah,
and no more dreams about the Sword of Cain telling me to kill all my elven brethren. Beautiful, perfect. That's. Huh.
But yeah, Malekith does not pick up the Sword of Cain like a good boy and ends up resisting it. But yeah, so currently we're in Nagarythe. He's bitter, he's angry. They begin to try to take Ulfheim back from Caldor the First.
They start the actual war effort.
Yeah, the High Elf fleet was quick to frustrate every fucking effort he tried to make a beachhead. I think they try to take Nagarythe back.
Right, because they have a navy and your entire species is on fucking battle barges.
Yeah, they definitely took Nagarythe back. Yeah, Malekith took us, made a force. They made a beachhead in Nagarythe and just occupied it. And then the High Elves just kept sallying to just harass them and not let them be comfortable there.
Yeah.
But they ended up they ended up just occupying it for quite some time. And they would battle for about 30 years. And Caldor would order massive gates be constructed at every single the passes south of the Anui Mountains. Mm-hmm. They would Anui Mountains? Anui?
The mountains.
The mountains. They would build these giant gate fortresses so that there are just these giant walls between the peaks.
Sorry, I started giggling because you're saying Anui, and then that made me think of Andouille sausage, which is a Louisiana thing. Now, Anui Mountains.
I don't know what the fuck that is. It's awesome.
Look at all this aura on my screen.
Yeah, the South Park bit. Yeah, okay, yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that are just the deep Louisiana accent. Just a gumbo of noises.
I love it. It's very, very fun. But yeah. So the Nagarythe thing wasn't going too well for the Dark Elves, and they built these walls.
Right.
And after 30 years, the first one would be built, the Griffin Gate, and then they would go on to build 5. So there's the Griffin Gate, the Unicorn Gate, the Eagle Gate, the Dragon Gate, and the Phoenix Gate. And the first one, the Griffin Gate, would never fall. Maybe in the end times, that I would say that doesn't count because
it's the end times.
That's the end times, duh.
That's the finish line if I've ever heard of one.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole world
it made it to the end.
Yeah,
without ever actually being taken.
Yeah,
which is a pretty big feat because the other ones I'm pretty sure got taken several times. Because the war gets so back and they go at it for basically forever. They never stop. They never stop. I think technically Malekith is at war with them for 5,000 years.
God damn.
Yeah, I think he just never. There are sometimes entire
humanity went from cavemen to the end of the world in that time.
Yes, literally, and he never stops. He just sits and will stew for centuries and brood and just bide his time and then wait for him to get a wild hair up his ass. And the whole time it's
now we will strike.
And most of the time, it's Nagarythe stoking it. My lovely listeners, I intend to do an episode solely on Nagarythe, and I'm saving this for last because I want to explain how horrible of a fucking monster she is. And how most of her drive is just to put Malekith on the Phoenix throne and doing anything to make that happen. And trying to stoke the fire in his blood to go kill the High Elves. Because he'll go into, centuries of melancholy. And she's just angry, oh, my son's being a cuck in this fucking little black tower. What a little bastard. I wish you'd go kill the High Elves. And so she'll plot and scheme for fucking centuries to get him a boner to kill again.
Is it the skin? Is it because you're burned? Is that why? Yeah, maybe try to fix that first.
You know what I mean?
Mom, it's been 4,000 years. I can't help but feel like medical magic in that time should have figured out growing back skin. And she's...
Not only are you a sorceress, you're using dark magic and demon pacts and shit, but life magic exists. I'm pretty sure life magic could just handle that. It would have to be that the Phoenix Flame is of such a caliber that you can't heal it with magic because it's sacred fire or whatever.
Right.
They probably go through that in the books or something, but I don't remember specifically. But you'd think she'd have handled that.
Yeah.
But
I also have a question about Nagarythe.
Yeah.
So she seems very on Malekith's side, at least in terms of getting him to win things. But is that because is that a thing that does Slaanesh want that?
No, it's just Nagarythe, because that's my son.
That's really funny, because we know, she's a pleasure cultist. That's, a Slaaneshi thing.
Yeah.
But, also, Slaanesh is and you will see to it that, excess and pleasure will spread. And she's yeah. Is it cool that if I make my son God Emperor?
I think it's
I don't see why not. If it helps spread the pleasure. Oh, it'll definitely help spread. I'll make that, the state religion, but can I make him our super awesome king boy forever?
It seems more of a situation where, step 1, make Malekith king. Step 2, step 3, prophet.
Yeah, it really is. It really he'll conquer the world, it'll be fine. Yeah. Step 1 to conquer the world, Malekith becomes the Phoenix King. Step 2. None of the fallout of all the things I did, none of that. We don't worry about that. But step 3, we're definitely going to profit. It's going to happen. We're going to cook. We're going to own this bitch.
We're going to have every elf in BDSM gear by December.
Sir.
Once we make him Phoenix King.
God bless. So, meanwhile, back in fucking Nagarythe, yeah, so they would call the land they would establish Nagarythe, the Dark Elves. Naggarond being the capital.
Right.
And back in Nagarythe, Nagarythe would look into the Chaos Wastes for more sorcerer's power. How do I aid my son in becoming Phoenix King? Obviously, we gotta go do demon shit. Duh. Why wouldn't we do that? So she commissions a great tower to be built in the north, to the north of Naggarond, called Garond, the Black Tower of Garond. And here she would establish a convent of sorceresses and witches, and would vet the most gifted youths into the pursuit of dark magic. And with this new coven of
You're not radicalizing sorcerers in there, are you, Mom? What in the tower?
No.
We're gonna make you Phoenix King. That's what's important.
We're gonna make Old Fan great again. It's gonna happen. You're gonna be in charge. It's gonna be great.
Just don't worry about me. Bring me that nerd ass sorcerer over there. You gotta teach him.
Gotta tell him some stuff. I gotta show him. I gotta show him through things. But yeah, so they start plying and studying the realm of chaos, and they start charting the course of destiny. They start looking to the future.
Right.
And so now literally they have the Scrying Tower of Grond. So anytime anything important is happening, they usually just know.
Right.
Like, they just know ahead of time.
Okay,
all the
so
time.
they're like farseers then.
Yeah,
basically. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Using divination magic and just scrying into the future, scanning the strands of fate, and then basically like locking them in and then trying to enact them. So this becomes a routine practice throughout all Dark Elf societies. That if you're a bad enough dude, you get to know what the sources of Grond are telling you, and you can just know the future, at least possible future.
You get to watch the Grond news.
the Grond, the news broadcast.
Yep.
Yeah, fucking
Tells you everything that's going on all around this world. Nobody else gets to do it. Buy your scrying orb now to tune in every night at 5.
the crystal ball of scrying. But yeah, so she had had the tower built, had this covenant of sources established, and she could never actually find a way to conquer Ulthan. Never found a single strand that led to that. Finding a lot of cool shit, but never found one of those.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
they're not like
ominous, right?
They're not like
you'd think
bad at the military. They've got like good warriors and all kinds of like armaments. Taking a country isn't like impossible.
You'd think, right?
Yeah. It really seems like there's something bigger at play. If even Doctor Strange is like at 14 billion futures, we don't take Ulthane, guys.
So, one thing I want to establish too that I forgot that I skipped. So, when they assail to Nagarythe, and they establish Naggarond, or try to establish Naggarond,
right?
Malekith still has a very formidable military force at this point,
right?
In his Black Ark, still like thousands and thousands of soldiers, like the most strongest, deadliest dudes are the ones who are left, and none of them want to build shit.
Right.
We are warriors. We are bloodthirsty monsters. I'm not going to go build a fucking house, Malekith. And he's like, you know what, man? That's actually an excellent point. Yeah, you guys are supposed to be slaughterers. You guys can't build civilization. Like, that's not even a thing you're capable of anymore. Huh. What do we do about this?
Let's go get some slaves.
And they never stopped slaving ever since. They became a scourge.
Oh, that was going to media.
Yup. Remember those dudes we saw back with the dwarves? Let's round them up. We need a shit ton of them, en masse, and so their prime import and export will become slaves for the rest of time till the world cracks.
Just going and getting the cavemen. The cavemen now have a society. They're like actually like people now, and they're like, the legends spoke of the pointed ears ones. You are a great friend to our ancestor chief. What? Come with you? We'd love to come with you. A promised land. Why these? Are these protective chains you're putting on us? I don't understand.
It just gets worse and worse and worse. God bless.
It's getting a little cold.
But yeah, so they would go on slaving for quite some time. Not good stuff. Yeah. So yeah, there would be 200 years of naval battles, and at this point, the High Elves are starting to get the upper hand. The Druchii were used to battling orcs and like Ungabunga cavemen. Witless idiot savages that could be corralled and cowed, and like you knew their predictable strategies. Yeah. They weren't used to fighting like a very clever like canny foe,
right? So
they kept like getting outplayed by the High Elves like all the time. Like Kaldor was a master strategist. He was actually, ironically, Imric was the man for the job. Despite Malekith feeling as though he was being cucked,
right.
Imric is actually a tactical genius, brilliant strategist. Does deserve to be Phoenix King. Does deserve to be the commander. Did deserve to be the general,
right?
All along. So his little. In hindsight, the first book of him being like, this is all unfair, fuck you people, it is him having a bitch fit, because Imric is a fucking Chad.
Right.
He's not a wizard like his grandsire was, but he is a fucking one of the strongest elf warriors that ever existed. He flies around the fucking dragon with his dragon lance and skewers motherfuckers. Pretty sick nasty.
He turns to the camera and is like, yeah, all those movies are about him. I wasn't doing nothing. And then it shows like the quick montage of scenes. Yeah, right. He's like, yeah, I had my old movie series too. And they didn't think that would sell very well, so you're only hearing about it now.
It's literally what happened, man. So yeah, fucking Imric, Kaldor the First, killing it, fucking crushing it. Malekith, furious, bitter, scorned. And yeah, so this was a huge drain on Ulthan. Just battling the Dark Elves for 200 fucking years. So shit in the colony was starting to get
for
rough.
Essentially no reason.
Just Malekith being better, being like, no,
our king is.
I'm in charge.
Unfortunately, our king is too angry for us to not be at war.
Yeah, that's really what it is, dude.
Do you have like a lack of resources? No, we're so good at slaving, and our slaves are quite talented, so we're fine. There's no necessity for this war, besides our king being very angry.
He's angry and he's bitter, and it's cold up there.
Yeah.
And he wants to go home where it's warm.
So unfortunately, we have to throw thousands and thousands of lives away.
Yearly.
Yeah.
It's
just a good thing that elves don't breed notoriously slowly.
Or anything like that. This was having a Drain Old Fan, and it took... eventually, they were like... Caldor just wanted to rout him out of Ulthuan entirely. And so it took 10 years for the Druchii to be driven from the Blighted Isle. And Caldor approaches the Blighted Isle. Personally, he led the attack. It seems that Malekith's fears are going to come true as Caldor I approaches the Shrine of Cain, looks upon the Sword of Cain, and what he sees is a lance.
So he can joust him with his dragon.
He can joust him with his dragon. He's like, the lance. It was made just for me.
Yes.
I can lead the elven people against the Druchii and crush them.
That looks pretty cool. I must be pretty cool.
Once again.
Yeah.
But he walks away, good boy, reels it in. I haven't read the passage in the book where he gets to actually see it. I need to go read that because that's probably going to be really good.
Right.
I don't know if he succumbs as hard as Malekith does, because in the book with Malekith, he goes into a whole rant with himself, ego trip, before he realizes he's about to grab it. I don't know how Caldor fully deals with it.
As he's maybe reaching his hand out, he sees on the signet ring given to every elven king, every phoenix king, he's able to see, and he reads that the inscription along the side of it, which reads, "Don't pick up the sword of Cain."
It's like the Lord of the Rings lettering.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's elven. This is "Don't pick up the sword of Cain." Yeah.
He's got his dragon with him, right?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. It's fucking...
My dragon, who is named in Elvish, in Old Elvish, it translates to "Don't pick up the sword of Cain."
Well, I'm sure it's more serious, but I'm imagining it as he's doing the whole going, and the dragon just flicks him on the ear or something.
Hey, that would be so good. He just nudges him. "Hey man, don't be cool."
Yeah, it's we talked about this.
We talked about this beforehand. I don't want to be a narc, but
you asked me to be your trip sitter, okay?
Yeah, you need the sober sitter, bro. It's important.
Take your cane and all.
Caldor resists the Sword of Cain.
Proving even more that he's the more just man.
Oh, and I wrote in my notes that of what each person sees that we know, that we can confirm. So for Anarian, it shifted several times before becoming a sword. Malekith saw a gemmed scepter, and then during the end times, you look at it again, and it would be a bone shaft spear with a crimson lightning for a blade.
Ooh,
pretty metal.
He got a lightsaber.
Fucking metal. That's what he saw. At least I don't remember he picked it up because I only read part of the end times, but apparently that's what he saw during the end times when you look at the Sword of Cain again.
A red lightning blade. Darth Vader just got his lightsaber.
That's a good point.
And then Caldor saw a lance, and then Tyrion, who did pick up the Sword of Cain, saw a sword like Anarian did.
Yeah.
And he picked that shit up during the end time spoilers. That's what he ends up doing. He succumbs, just like Anarian, he succumbs to grief and picks up the Sword of Cain.
Who doesn't?
And it's just, the cycle repeated itself. So yeah, he decides not to do that, and then the fleet, Caldor's dudes decide to sail back, and Nagarythe and her sorceresses and Grond are like, "Hey, let's just conjure up a fucking storm to really fuck up their ships. Let's see, just really spite them, because we're the most petty, lowbrow, underhanded assholes who ever existed. Fuck you, Caldor." So they make a storm. They don't even sink any ships. It's it's a pitiful attempt, but they do blow his ship off course.
Oh.
They do blow his ship to be isolated, and they do send a bunch of Druchii assassins using scrying magic to kill him.
Right.
The Phoenix King ship is surrounded, and rather than being caught and knowing he's going to be tortured to death, just jumps into the water in his full armor, thus ending the reign of Caldor I. That is how the third Phoenix King dies.
Didn't he ride a dragon?
He was on the ship. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe his dragon was slain at this point. I didn't read the book.
That would be funny. Damn, the one time.
Yeah, right.
I didn't bring my boy.
I told him to go ahead because if he rides on the boat, everyone complains.
He's loud. He's big.
Yeah, he's always trying to get people's gold out of them.
Yeah, there's got to be some explanation for that.
I have to.
Otherwise, it's like that's just it's too obvious of a solution.
Yeah.
Him and the dragon, they're like, we talked about this. We're going to go under the water, and then we're going to swim away. You're going to use your magnificent wings to fly under the water. They both go under the water, just sharks.
Instantly ripped
blood. Yeah.
So, do you not have anyone who could have, honorably, batted him or something? If you're to freeze to death in fucking cold, that just sounds bad.
Well, because he knew the Drew were going to torture him. They knew they were going to peel his fucking face off and shit.
He didn't have anyone there who's just like,
I need
you to do me a solid.
Oh, one of the guys there.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I said, I didn't read the book. I don't know exactly how that went down, but what he did, what he do was jump.
Okay, unfortunately, this boat is me and all the other Dragon Knight Lancers, so we only have these huge 12-foot long lances as our weapons. So what we're going to do is we're going to pair up, and we're just going to aim right at each other, and hopefully we both get each other. Suicide pact!
It's fucking brutal. Holy shit. Oh, man. But yeah, that ended the reign of Caldor I. And, so, upon returning to Nagarythe, in failure, many of Malekith's commanders feared returning back to Naggarond.
Right.
So they just sailed to the southern coast of the Sea of Malice and just made a new city. They're like, ooh, we can't go back there, so we're just going to make our own place over here.
If he sees us, he's going to force choke us.
Yeah, they know. They saw A New Hope. They know how this goes.
He won't just send people to kill us as long as we keep sending him tax money and say, oh, we were also doing this while we're out.
So they were explicitly supposed to capture him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were going to capture him, bring him back in chains, be tortured for
yeah, because I see that as a win. If he dies,
No, Malekith wants to fucking torture this guy.
Well, yeah,
who came out of nowhere to steal his throne, fucked it up twice for him.
I mean, okay, yeah, I guess he's being held together by spite. So whatever.
All he's got is just fucking riled up.
All he has is incel rage at this point.
I was just thinking, if I was Evil Lord, I'd take that as a W. He's dead now. Cool.
Oh, another thing I want to mention. I wasn't able to brush up too much on this, so I can't give the exact timetable. At some point, Malekith does get betrothed. He gets married to, I believe, one of the cousins of Ariel, who is
the Little Mermaid.
God bless. She is one of the important elves who become one of the Wood Elves.
Right.
Important little note: Malekith was in love, did fall in love with basically someone who was ethnically a Wood Elf, or will become ethnically a Wood Elf. And I don't remember if this is before or after he was the Witch King. I want to say it was before he was the Witch King, when he was still like Malekith, the same human being.
Right.
But he was betrothed. This will come up much later.
Right.
I will probably retouch upon this in the Nagarythe episode, and I'll save it for then, because I'll be able to give you the proper context. Because the ending of that story is one of the main reasons why Nagarythe is the worst. It is one of the worst things I have ever heard of someone doing to a family member. It's pretty bad.
In my head, what has happened is that during Malekith's more, skinned days, when everything was still relatively at peace, and he was just an ambitious, downright near heroic man, and he meets this girl, and she's wonderful and everything that he wants, and they fall in love. And then they have to, plan the wedding, and they're like, well, let's do it in 2,000 years. We're elves. We live so long. We'll just do it in 2,000 years. Nothing's going to change in that time. And then the wedding finally comes around, and he has no skin encased in his Darth Vader outfit.
Yeah, right? Fucking...
And she looks at him, in horror, and then he looks at her, and she's now a Wood Elf, so she's just, dirty. She's got Caucasian dreadlocks. Both of them are just miserable.
It do be rough out there.
Goodness.
Yeah, so, these lieutenants and generals and shit were like, yeah, we're going to go make our own city. Because it's too risky to go back there. He's just going to force stroke all of us. That's the foregone conclusion.
Imagine if he did take it really well, though. Where he's like, so, what is the report? And they're like, oh, my liege, it appears that, the Phoenix King has ended his own life once we surrounded and had him properly captured. And he's like, my God, you tortured him so intensely he killed himself? That's pretty impressive. Well, that is, I suppose, what they have reported. They say that they are going to found a new city for you, my lord. And a new city? This is great news. What loyal men.
Just stoked about it.
They just have it completely wrong that he just, like, cut them down.
Yeah, so, they basically, they failed to conquer Ulthan, had to flee the Blighted Isle, had to flee fucking, the Shadowlands, and have returned to make a new city. And they established Hag Graef. And Hag Graef is the home of Malus Darkblade, who is there's a series of novels about him.
Yeah.
Very fun character. Also, edgelord incel the worst. Like,
I was gonna say air quotes fun.
Yeah, like, it's just like, wow, look at him go!
We talked about this last time. He's interesting.
Holy shit, what a piece of shit, dude. Holy cow.
This is the first, like, main character that gets to be a Dark Elf from the start.
Like,
Malekith had to fall to Dark Elfness.
Anytime you do something a little shitty and you think to yourself, damn, I shouldn't have done that. You probably shouldn't have. But then, read any of the Dark Elf novels and know you're still probably a pretty cool guy.
Yeah.
You're still probably a pretty cool guy despite whatever it is you think you did. Because you didn't do half the shit these guys do.
We told them we'd let them go if all they had to do was, like, take off all their shoes and run through the jungle with in their bare feet. And so we did let them go. We unchained them and they all ran out. And then we let the velociraptors that we ride hunt and eat them. They needed the exercise and enrichment.
We'll get to the velociraptors. They're coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're coming up. They established Hag Graef. And Malekith was going to straight up slaughter them for their insubordination. He was like, you sons of bitches, how do you... Not only did you not report back to me, you built a new city, you butt-fucking cowards.
Yeah.
Like, you pieces of shit.
You can't build a whole new life for yourself instead of telling me what happened.
Yeah, you pieces of shit. Like, sorry, fucking... But instead...
You wouldn't even build houses when you worked for me.
Yeah, right? You're gonna build
a whole country?
A whole ass city now, you
Fuck
pieces
off.
of shit. Yeah, so... And also, a practice that was started being established was ships would sail into the Sea of Malice, unload part of their cargo at Hag Graef, and then go to Nagarythe to pay their taxes. So they were literally skimming off the top of Malekith's crew.
Oh, so they built a tax haven.
Basically.
That's hilarious.
And yeah, Malekith, furious.
Yeah.
So Morath, he's like, sweetie, be cool. These are your guys. And so she advises caution. And instead, he offers them his protection and lordship over the southern coast. Like, yeah, Hag Graef will rule the southern coast of the Sea of Malice. And ends up manipulating them to a never-ending series of feuds where all of them owe fealty to him and are pining for his favor. And that establishes a core component of Dark Elf culture now, where it's like, all of us are trying to undermine and overrule everyone else with the promise and also fear of getting Malekith's favor. Because if we call in Big Daddy for a favor, well, now he just owns us, don't we? So, fuck.
He pulled the, Louis the whatever? No.
The French king?
Yeah. The monarch who, he did the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, to the point where, like, people would fight over getting to stir his tea for him.
Damn. That bad.
That's how that's like the level of manipulation he had going on.
My goodness. The first guy.
I forget which Louis that was, because there's like 16 of them or something.
At least, right? Fucking yeah.
There's so many King Louis. There's so many King Louis that one of them's an orangutan.
God bless.
That was an incredible joke, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin.
Bless. Fucking bless. Yeah, so they built a little tax haven there. He ends up manipulating them. And so the climate of Nagarythe, or Nagarythe, is very cold and unforgiving, and it's very hard to do anything during like any seasons that aren't summer.
Right, because it's like the North Pole almost.
Yeah, it's like
the most miserable place you could possibly live.
I would say it's closer to Greenland.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's still pretty miserable.
Remember, Iceland is the one that's actually habitable. Greenland's the one that's pretty miserable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically Greenland up there, and yeah, it sucks, and they really couldn't see themselves expanding too much farther because of strained resources and like just being able to live in this frontier. There's also chaos species up here. It's the north. Like there's horrible shit. There's beastmen up here. There's manticores up here. It's bad. But eventually some slaves break through while digging in Hag Graef, and they uncover some tunnels. There's a tunnel system underneath the city. Isn't that crazy? Or underneath what we're doing here. Isn't that crazy?
Not a cave system, a tunnel system. These are clearly artificial.
Some of these were dug by people. Huh. Funny that, isn't it? Some of them were dug by giant, horrible worms that are still there. That's fucking terrifying.
Okay. Stage hazard.
They deal with those in the Malice Darkblade novels. They're just giant, horrible, boring worms.
I was thinking Skaven, but okay, yeah, giant worms.
Yep.
But also probably Skaven. Definitely Skaven.
That's why I asked, tunnels, not caves, tunnels.
Yeah, but I would not put it past Skaven. I can't confirm that, but I would not put it past Skaven, because they do have a ladder tunnel system and cross the entire world.
Skaven being horrible evil rat men, if you don't know that.
My favorite.
I'm imagining that there's a lost clan of because like the Skaven famously have like the 4 clans or
four major clans.
There's the 4 clans, but then there's the lost clan of the north, and it's just that Scrat from Ice Age.
He's a squirrel.
Saber-toothed and
that's awesome. No, yeah, but the Clan Pestilence is so south of where Nagarythe is, very far south in like South America, where the world would be, in Lustria. There's tunnels that go from there to the other side of the world.
Oh,
the old world is that the Clan Pestilence used to migrate.
My goodness.
Yeah, so their Skaven just literally migrated underground across the world into South America, and then popped up and said, "We live here now!" And just started eating dinosaur babies.
They just made the Underdark.
The transoceanic tunnel has been completed. Now Skavendom can spread to the new world.
Yep.
Sir, why did we spend 3,000 years digging a tunnel underneath the largest ocean when we could have just gotten on a boat?
Boat's bad. Kill! Kill boat! Kill!
The boats all burn whenever we shoot our lightning guns that are powered by crack cocaine, obviously. And besides, what are we supposed to do? Have a whole boat for us and a separate boat for our cocaine? Then we'll need to travel between boats to do our cocaine.
Which do they find warpstone as they're tunneling?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it's like underground.
So there you go.
Well, that's why it comes from many. Most of it breaks up from the sky, but I think there are some. When they tunnel, I'm pretty. That's
what I mean. Like some that is embedded from like a meteor or whatever.
I'm certain I've heard of them digging a warpstone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's your answer.
Warpstone mine. Yeah, Nagash famously built his palace on a warpstone mine.
Yeah, they need it's so they can find more warp crack as they're working.
And eventually, they were digging for crack, and eventually they broke through and found the other continent. And then, Clan Pestilence said, "We live here now," and there was the whole thing for generations. It was terrible, horrible.
Breaks up through the ground, like, would you look at that?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Look at that. God bless. But we'll talk about the rat furries in another episode.
Yes.
yeah. Unrelated. Sorry, I was just curious.
So, we love the Skaven around here.
So they actually, this series of tunnels they find under Hag Graef actually go all the way up to Naggarond too. Ain't that fucking crazy? And they actually go east.
That's pretty strange, since neither of these places existed until we got there, and then we didn't dig these tunnels.
Nope. They're there and they're convenient, though. And guess what they end up doing? They do the reverse Underground Railroad. They make a third city on the east...
where they free people from their not being slaved?
No, or they just bring slaves underground and take them so they don't have to go over the harsher climate up north. It's much more safe to bring slaves in the underground tunnels than it is to take them over surface.
That makes complete... This is brilliant. Yes.
So it's the reverse Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
They're bringing people into slavery underground.
Unlike the real Underground Railroad, which was not underground.
Not even at all.
And also resulted in you being freed.
Yes.
This is the reverse Underground Railroad, which is therefore underground.
Yes.
And results in you being enslaved.
Yes. They make the reverse Underground Railroad.
That's brilliant. I love that.
And they establish the city of Clarkarond on the east coast there, and they're only able to establish it by these underground tunnels. It's like they're able to bring supplies and ferry people.
This is all very convenient.
System. And it's a really convenient system because instead of ships wasting time sailing all the way down the Seal of Malice going to Nagarythe, they can go to the East Coast here, drop all their shit off, and go back to raiding or being useful.
Right, and then all that stuff gets disseminated through local logistics underneath the tunnels.
And it establishes a whole town system, and it establishes a thriving economy. It's brilliant.
Without these tunnels, I dare say that the Dark Elf Society was destined to crumble.
Yeah, very much so. It probably wouldn't have, it would not flourish the way it did.
Yeah.
It would not be flourishing.
How often do you get eaten by giant worms?
I think the worms are sleeping. In the Malice Darkblade novels, I think there was like, the things that drove below us, the things that made these tunnels. Like, they allude to them, and they do wake up, but I think that was like a big deal when they woke up in the books. I'm fuzzy on this.
Okay. It's probably pretty predictable and the kind of thing that everyone knows, just you don't go down hallway 12B, you don't rocket walk down there.
There's something else that lives down there. Guess who else lives in the tunnels?
Dwarves?
A cousin to the dragon.
Oh.
They're these little beasties. They're called Cold Ones, the Nagarythe.
Oh.
And they're my favorite little dude. They're basically raptors. But they're like...
I didn't know that's where they're from.
Mm-hmm. They lived in these tunnels. They found them in the tunnels below Hag Graef. And they're like, wow, these things are fucking cool.
I thought they just, lifted them from the lizard men.
They find them there, too. But apparently they originally found the Nagarythe in the tunnels below Hag Graef.
Huh.
Yeah. And they found these little lizard boys. And they're like, oh, look at these little dragonlings. We should ride them. And then they did.
When I was thinking about the worms, because I just expected that they'd be like, oh, these tunnels are great. Like, they're so useful. And then you turn a corner and there's an Alaskan bullworm.
They just fucking,
There's an Alaskan bullworm, and then, down a separate, smaller, tunnel, you see that there's a family of Yoshis. And you're like, oh, as you're getting, eaten alive.
God, they're horrible. The Nagarythe are terrible, horrible beasties. Yeah, they're not really friendly, and they will just eat you if you don't smell like them. So, if you want to ride them, not only is their skin slightly toxic, so it's, a bad time,
right?
You have to take their, oil secretions and routinely rub them on yourself so that you smell like them, or else they'll just eat you.
Ugh.
And they're also extremely fucking stupid. So, they will listen to direction, but a lot of times they'll just stop listening to direction. They'll just do whatever the fuck they want because they just, fuck you, I'm a dinosaur.
That makes
fuck, you gonna tell me what to do?
So much funnier because a key reason that we ride horses is because they're social animals and therefore are willing to take direction.
They want to please us.
And specifically, a horse will never decide to eat you.
Yeah.
It might decide to kill you. I'm not going to say that all horses are saints.
In the same way the Dark Elves established the Underground Railroad, they may have also established the reverse horse.
Yes.
Riding a Yoshi is basically all the hazards a horse does not bring you.
Yeah. It's everything that we specifically picked horses.
It doesn't like you.
In reverse.
It wants to eat you. It doesn't take direction well. It's only on 2 legs. There's a lot of not horseology going into these things. I just realized that.
Arrogant ass elves are like, no, they will be our mounts. We'll inoculate ourselves to their venom.
Yeah, so Clarkaron becomes a thriving hub. It becomes a cornerstone to their fucking economy and their civilization. And so Clarkaron is growing. Cults and stuff started growing in power again. That was Morathi's big thing, was stoking up cults to be able to manipulate the people. And one cult in particular was growing in crazy amounts of power. And it wasn't the pleasure cult. No, it was the cult of Cain, the god of murder. People just loved going into the streets and just slaughtering people that they found because fuck you, god of murder demands it. And it was becoming a real goddamn problem because you can't run a society when people are just murdering people in the streets. What are you talking about? And instead of reeling it in, Malekith is like, you know what, bro? I am the living incarnate of Cain, and you all have to worship me. And so he ends up fucking cutting up his fucking hand and burning his blood in their fucking witch fire brazier, the one that they used to sacrifice fucking still beating hearts into.
Of course.
Yeah, and so now he basically intercepts worship of Cain and has the deification through Cain. And now there's an entire cult dedicated to him, which are the Witch Elves and the
Do they still worship other elven deities?
Yes, there is Hakarti, Athardi,
Havarti.
A guy I can't remember all of them, but they're called I want to say it's the Sinray. The Sinray.
Huh.
because there's like the light there's like the good elf pantheon, there's the evil elf pantheon.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the Cat Eye, and I want to say the Sithrai.
They worship the assholes.
Yeah, they worship the assholes. Yeah.
Okay.
Are the Sithrai the assholes?
Yeah.
So you're saying that the guy in the Darth Vader suit who later gets a glowing red energy blade is the Lord of the Sith Rai?
Yeah, he claims to be one of the avatars of the Sithrai.
I'm seeing quite a lot of overlap with a different...
yeah, don't worry about it, man. Yeah, be what it is.
I speak, of course, of the hit movie Aragon.
Sick bird.
Do they worship the other Chaos Gods?
No,
just Slanesh.
So they're the pleasure cult. Marathi's stake in the pleasure cult. It seems that she's more deitic, more of a tool that she built.
Right.
It's not that she herself leads the cult. It's that I made this thing to be a tool for me to use against the people. So I don't believe she herself worships Slanesh. She just worships power and worships herself.
Right. It's more of a business relationship, her and
Yes.
Slanesh.
Yeah. Exactly. It's purely I'm getting something out of this. You give me power, I give you acolytes.
Do you think Khorne, hates that there's another guy who's specifically a murder guy that gets worshipped?
Oh, I was supposed to bring this up. This is part speculation, part I could probably prove this with enough lore references and actually poking the books.
Right.
I wanted to bring up the difference between Khorne and Khorne and how...
And they're very similar names.
They're very similar names, but they're different deities. So, if you're on a battlefield and slaughter is happening, you'd think, oh, Khorne loves that. And he does. But Khorne is only truly empowered by that if that slaughter is done in his name.
Right.
Unless you're actually saying,
blood for the Horn God,
I'm thinking and, manifesting, this is specifically, I'm doing this for Khorne, you're not directly feeding him.
Right.
He's just happy with you. Right? There's a difference. Whether your psychic energy, the things you're thinking are actually being pulled into their default manifestations or not, if you're not actually thinking about Khorne while you're killing people, you're not actually feeding him. Not entirely, right? The reason I say this is because when you dedicate your murder to the murder god Cain, Khorne is not getting emboldened by that. He's not getting power by that. It's being intercepted by Cain. It's going to Cain instead. And there's a lot of evidence with this in the lore, specifically of basically prayer energy being intercepted, basically. Mm-hmm. And one of the explanations they give between them being separate entities is apparently, oh God, I can't remember the exact reference. I'm drawing blanks here, but I can touch into that in more details in a later video.
Mm-hmm. Is Cain shattered in?
No.
Okay.
Cain is alive and well.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah, he's reeling. Yeah, because in 40K, one of the stories they give is that Slanesh and Khorne pulled on Cain, trying to get control over him because Khorne didn't want Slanesh to eat Cain because Khorne wanted to fight that guy. He needs to be my sparring partner.
Right.
Because he's like me, but he isn't me. He's like me. He's a kindred spirit. So he wanted to fight that guy. We could be
rivals.
He can make me stronger. We could train forever to be sick. And Slanesh was like, no, I'm going to eat him. And apparently they pulled on him so hard that he broke into a million pieces, and that's what the fucking avatars of Cain are. The shards that make them are apparently those. That's one of the lore explanations. They've probably retconned it a billion times at this point, but that was one of the explanations at the time that I was reading. But yeah, and fantasy, no, none of that happened. Cain is just angry, evil murder god, one of the strongest. And specifically, if you do acts of bloodshed in Cain's name, once again, Khorne likes that, but he's not getting powered by that.
Right.
Cain is getting powered by that instead. And so that's why a lot of these priests hate each other, is because you're basically giving us a bad name. You're basically intercepting the thing that we should be getting paid for. You're getting paid for. Hey. We hate that.
No.
You're stealing our sales.
Get your power metal shit out of here. We do death metal around here.
Yeah,
and they're they're basically the same. They're not the same thing.
It's emo versus goth.
Yeah.
It's emo versus goth. It's
the same thing,
they're
but no, it fucking isn't.
Different. Yeah. But no, they're not. But really, no, they're not. That's awesome. But yeah, no. So yeah, Cain becomes the established religion of the Druchii at this point, and that just becomes that's the main one. You can still worship the other fucking Sinrai or whatever, but or Sithrai, but you don't. I'm Big Daddy Cain, and you got to worship me.
Yeah.
So at this point, the High Elves keep beating up the Druchii pirates and stuff, so like people just didn't want to go raid and stuff anymore. It was just too risky. And Malekith couldn't fucking have that. He was really mad about this. Like, not only are we trapped in this stupid ass fucking frozen place, but now you guys are too big for me to go do anything about it. Something's got to change. Hey, what are those beardy midgets doing? Remember those guys?
They were pretty cool, and I promised specifically that I wouldn't forget about them for thousands of years at a time. But I did already, so let's take a look.
And we're going to get back to that in the next part of this series. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the content of this episode, go over, give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. Go and give me a follow on Blue Sky and on Instagram, and you can support us on our Patreon. With that, have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.